Shalom, 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 Yasha'Allah. This your boy, Brother Shamuel Allah, back at you with another quick edifying video. Today's lesson is going to be called, She Don't Want to Play Her Role. She don't want to play her role. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, call Halal Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. That's all praises to the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahawah, and his only begotten Son's name, who you ignorantly call Jesus, whose name is Yahawashi. All right, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Rawchaa Qadash, right? Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have ruled well through the Spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days, and has pushed this gospel and this truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom. Another mighty shalom to all you Akim out there laboring on the highways and on the hedges and on the unicorn, which is this internet, pushing this 100% doctrine, this 100% truth to the four corners of the earth in these last days. A mighty shalom to you all as well. All right, like I said, today's lesson is called She Don't Want to Play Her Role. All right, and I just came across this article from Tracee Ellis Ross. You know, she might be a tear, you know. But it says, Tracee Ellis Ross says she only dates younger men because men her age are steeped in toxic masculinity. All right. So Tracee Ellis Ross recently appeared on the IMO with Michelle Obama. There you go. Right. Craig Robinson podcast. The Girlfriends actress opened up about her dating life, the experience of singlehood, and more during a conversation with the former U.S. First Lady and her brother. Ross also reflected on her choice of avoiding getting into relationship with men her age. Tracee said, because I want a partner, and so often it's not just that I'm older, I'm also very embodied. I am a full and very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a very full, just, robust life. So it's not just age, it's life experience and that sorts of difference. Right? Okay. Tracee Ellis Ross added that many men her age group are steeped in a toxic masculinity. She explained. She said, I had to ask myself the question, why does this keep sort of coming up? Ross dating younger men, other than they're hot and gorgeous, she says, but a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. All right. Let's see. The Blackish actress reflected on having experience of being controlled in a past relationship. She revealed how it made her feel like a possession or a prize. It says, Ross said that she has no interest in such relationships. Says, I did enough of it where I was controlled. I felt like a possession, or whatever those things were, a prize, or I just have no interest in it and I will not do it again. Right? And we can look in the scriptures about it with a possession. Okay. But let's keep reading. Tracee Ellis Ross denied that dating younger men over people her age is a generational thing and claimed that it is generalization. She mentioned dating men her age and proclaimed that it differed from her relationship with a younger person. Ross explained how dating younger men brings openness in relationships about subjects like gender fluidity and ABCDEFG. In contrast, she revealed this was not the case in the past, right? And this is that thing, right? Because this is, we're in this time of, got men that are being raised to be emotional, right? Be all emotional about everything, right? Why? Because they were raised by who? By the women. All right. It says, after discussing avoiding getting into a relationship with men her age, the 52-year-old actress asserted that she has developed a dating philosophy, and she's 52 years old, right? Like, come on now. It says, there's and dating, right? It's too much, right? That's why this place is got to be destroyed, right? So it says there are so many different philosophies on dating, and I have come up with mine. I have come up with what works for me. So she's come up with a plan that works for her, and she's 52, and she's still dating, right? How does that work? All right, let's keep reading. So I've come up with what works for me and what makes sense for me and what feels safe for me. Tracy Ellis Ross told the host that unlike many of her friends, she is not on any dating apps. She responded affirmatively when Craig Robinson asked her about preferring to meet people in person. Tracy also stated that either someone sets her up on a date or she meets people at different events, right? And this is why she's going to stay she's going to stay single, you know, because she doesn't want to play her role. And see, this society is so flipped up and turned around, right? And the fact that, like I say, you're 52, you've never been married, you don't have kids, right? And we know, like in the ancient world, that was a shame. That was a shame to have that. All right, but this is the society that we're living in, right? And she talked about toxic masculinity, so I looked it up, right? Toxic masculinity refers to the harmful and narrow expectations placed on men, often associated with traits like aggression, dominance, emotional repression, which can have negative consequences for men, women, and society. It says it's not about masculinity itself, but about the ways behaviors and attitudes often linked to traditional male roles can be detrimental, right? And this is the thing, right? Because you know you're gonna be wishing you had a toxic masculine man in these times coming up, man. You're gonna need somebody, right, who's not gonna be who's gonna lack that that emotional you know that emotional state, man, right? Because in these times, hey, and that's the thing, that's the difference between men and women, man. You know, men don't move by emotions, man. Right? And that's why Yahawashi gave this ministry unto men. All right, because there's orders and things to follow. Right? And you can't worry about your feelings and your emotions in this thing. You have to follow what Yahawashi tells you to do. Right? When you're a soldier, right, you're given orders. It doesn't matter what you say or what you think. All right? It's what the orders that were given, and you play them out. Right? and Yahawashi gave this ministry to the men. Okay, and for good reason, right? Let's get a couple of scriptures real quick. Let's go here real quick, right? And it's got a couple of things, right? But ultimately, she just doesn't want to play her role, right? Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, 34, last verse, right? This is Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 31. It says, "And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your power, saith Yahawah Bashim Shai, thy power." All right? And this is why the ministry was given to the men. All right? Right? Because a man is not ruled by emotions. A man is ruled by order, and that's why it caused the woman. We go to First Peter, right? First Peter 3 and verse number 7, it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor to the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. All right. And that's what you got to understand, that, because a woman is typically ruled by her emotions, that that causes, them to not think rationally a lot of times, right? And now we know in this society what happens, right? Let's go to Jeremiah. We know that this society is flipped around. All right. Jeremiah chapter 33 and verse number 22, right? The fact that you're saying that you found what works, but you're 52 years old and you still haven't found a husband, that you still haven't found someone, a man, right? That's an issue, right? But you don't want to play your role. All right. Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse number 22, it says, how long wilt thou go about, O backsliding daughter? For Yahawah Bahasham have created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man, right? In this society, she talks about her, being a prize, right? You're not the prize, right? We understand that the man is the prize. All right. And when these times, when this stuff hits the fan, and you're going to be wishing you had a man, right? You're going to be wishing, right? But the scriptures say what? Let me get this real quick. Let's go to the book of Sirach, right? Matter of fact, before I get that, go back here. Let's go to Isaiah, right? Isaiah chapter 13, and let's go to verse number 12, I believe. Isaiah 13 and 12. Yep. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than a golden wedge of Ophir. All right. It says, so I can read it again. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir, right? And then really, that's the man of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. All right. Because in these times, right, we're about to, get into, man, it's going to get crazy out here. You're going to be looking for a man, right? Because the scriptures tell you, Isaiah 32, verse number 2, it says, a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind. All right. And that wind represents destruction. All right. You're going to need that man who has that masculinity, that aggression, right? And the emotionalist, right? When he's got to take care of business, when all hell is breaking loose, through the power and spirit of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. Right? It says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of the water in a dry place, as a shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Okay. And ultimately, a lot of women, they just don't want to play the role that they were given. All right. The role that they were given, let's get it. All right. But a lot of you, hey, you're going to be humbled very quickly, and you're going to be put into your place very quickly, and it's not, hey, it's what the scriptures say. You know what I mean? Right. What does it say? Isaiah 4 and 1. It says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. Why? Because a man is going to be like fine gold, right? Far and few. Okay, far and few, right? A man of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, right? It says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. All right. Because, hey, in this time, right, you're going to have folks kicking in doors, doing all types of craziness, right? And if you don't have a man as a covering, like Isaiah 32 said, you're going to be ass out, right? You're going to be ass out, Salakia. But it's going to be, you're going to wish you had that toxic masculinity man out there, standing in order, right? Not being with his emotions, okay? And at that day, that's going to be sought after, okay? A man of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding who's taking orders of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, all right? So it says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat of our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. All right. It says, in the NOT, it says, in that day, so few men will be left that 7 women will fight for each man, saying, let us all marry you. We will provide our own food and clothing. Only let us take your name so we won't be mocked as old maids, right? You won't be a Tracy Ellis, okay? That's what's going to be said, all right? And the Lord is turning those tables even now as we speak, man, right? You see a lot of women, who had that, independent spirit, right, are starting to snap out of that and understand they're going to need a man, right? That they don't need a man, and pretty soon they're going to understand that, guess what? They're going to have to be cleaving to a man who has multiple women, okay, in those days, all right? Because that's how crazy it's going to be, right? Let's get this. Let's go to 1 Corinthians, right? Let's see the order. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse number 3, and see right now the order is off, right? Because there's a new thing on the earth where a woman is compassing a man. So now a woman thinks that she's the prize, right? But the scriptures tell you that the man is the prize. All right, he's more precious than fine gold, right? So much so that 7 women, right, which is just a complete number, right? You might have 20 women. Hell, he might only have 4 women, whatever it is. Right? They're going to be trying to cleave to that man. That man is is going to be the prize that everybody's trying to get. Okay? This is 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. It says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, right? Yahawashi. And the head of the woman is the man. And the head of Hamashiach, or Yahawashi, is the Most High Yahawah. Okay, so the order goes: the Heavenly Father Yahawah, His Son Yahawashi, man, and then woman. That's the order. All right, but in this place, everything is out of order, right? And you see when it's out of order, then you see the women, they just do whatever they want to do. Okay, you got a 52-year-old woman talking about she wants to date around, right? She wants to date around and see her. What are we talking about? Right? She don't want to play her role. Okay? Let's get the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus. Let's get that real quick. The book of Ecclesiasticus 36, and let's go to verse number 24, because she talked about that, she thinks, these masculine men, they think that I'm like a possession, right? This is Sirach, or the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 36, and verse number 24. It says, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Okay? So, a woman is a possession. Okay? A woman is a possession. Whether you like it, love it, believe it or not. Right? That's why a father what does he do? He gives away his daughter, right, to another man. He gives away his precious possession to another man, and now he becomes that man's possession. Right now, so like him, now she becomes that, another man's possession. Okay, you're handed from your father, right, to your husband, right, as a possession. All right. So it says, "He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a helpmeet like unto himself, and a pillar of rest." Right. And mostly women, they don't listen. They don't have no parts in that part. You catch hell all week, at the plantation, whatever's going on. Then you come home, and then you catch hell from your rib, right? You're not a helpmeet. You're not a pillar of rest where a man should be able to get home and be like, oh man, finally out of this hellhole of this life, I can go home, and your wife is gonna be there to comfort you. Nope, right on your neck, right on your neck. Right. But because a lot of they've lost that order, right? The scriptures tell you, in fact, let's get that real quick. Let's go to the book of Genesis, right? Let's go to the beginning, right? Genesis 3, and let's go to it. Genesis 3 and verse number 16. Okay. It says, "And unto the woman he said, I shall greatly multiply thy sorrow." It says, "And thy conception, and in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee." Okay? The man is going to rule over his woman. Okay? But that's the order. Okay, that's the order that's going on. But, in this society and, growing up, you saw, and a lot, to those curses, right? That guess what? The daddy wasn't in the house, right? And it was all about big mama this, big mama that. And that whole matriarch thing kind of exploded, right? And then you sit there, you talk about, well, what happened to grandpa and don't want to talk about that nigga, he's no, you know what I'm saying? That's what society has raised, right? And that's toxic right there. If you want to talk about toxic, where you've taken the man out of the house, and now you have a woman, right? And now what? That woman has surpassed a man, right? So now she's putting pants on, and now she's becoming more masculine than the men, and the men are becoming emotional, right? Because they're being raised by the woman, right? And it's all out of order, right? It's all out of order, and the Lord is going to bring all this back into order, and that it should be doing the right way, okay? The right way. All right. So it says, "Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception, and in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee." Right? And when the men of Yahawashi, right, they're likened unto a bride. And who's their husband? Yahawashi. All right? And our desire is to him, right? Because he's our head. Right? Yahawah Yahawashi. All right? And the woman, right, her desire is towards her husband. Okay? Because he's her head at the end of the day. Okay? If you understand, all right? But you see our people, look, they don't want to be they don't want to play the role. A lot of these women don't want to play the role, and that's why they're going to be left behind. Right? The scriptures tell you that, the woman, let's get that real quick. 1 Corinthians 11 again, right? Let's read verse 3 again. It says, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High. Okay. Let's jump down. Verse number 8, it says, "For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was man created for the woman, but the woman for the man." All right. And that's, playing upon tables. All right. In the scriptures, you are a possession. And when you read, when you think about that, right? When these times that are coming up, you're going to want to be a possession, right? Let me get this real quick. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16. And let's jump down to verse number... let's see. Like a good, right? A possession is a good, right? So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 16. And verse number 70 says, "For there shall be in every place and in the next city a great insurrection upon those that fear Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. They shall be like madmen," right? Esau, man, he's going to be like a madman, right? His horns are going to be shown. It's going to show you who the devil is, man, in the flesh, okay? It says, "They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi." It says, "For they shall waste and take away their goods," okay, "and cast them out of their house," okay. And when you think about it, man, they're going to be taken away. They're going to be snatching, men's. Just think about what happened in slavery, right? What was they doing? They was taking away men's possessions, right? Taking them, ravaging them right in front of them, a man's face, man. Right? This is the stuff we're going to. You're gonna be one man who has that masculine energy, and who has the wisdom and knowledge of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, man. Because in these days coming up, it's gonna be crazy out here. It's gonna get crazy, right? You're gonna be wanting. Like Isaiah 4:1 says, "Only let us be called by your name." Please take us, let us be your wife. Okay. And this is why, the women, and you're gonna be humbled real soon. You better get in order, right? If you don't wanna play your role, and you're gonna be left behind. Okay. So I just wanted to do this quick lesson, right? Lord's will, this was edifying. Right. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Kohala Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Peace and blessings to the elect of the 12 tribes scattered abroad. A mighty shalom to the 144,000 men, right? Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, right? Who have ruled well to the spirit and have fed and edified the sheep in these last days. A mighty shalom to all the elect, all right? Another mighty shalom to all you aquas, right? You women out there, right? Who are obedient, who are in order, okay? Best believe that the Heavenly Father has seized that and seized the obedience, okay? All right, and with that, I'll say shalom.